The records of eternal peace would later describe this gathering not as a meeting, but as a convergence of eras, where ancient wisdom, reborn legends, and reckless genius collided under one roof. Within Qin Mu's overcrowded manor, celestial Venerable Yu stood like a living relic, dissected not by blades, but by the sharp curiosity of heavenly teachers and scholars. Around him, runes whispered secrets of the ancient gods, while outside, a different storm had already broken. Qin Mu himself clashing against a sudden wave of mysterious young experts, only to uncover they were none other than the reincarnated human emperors of old. Now, as ancestors walk again, divine arts evolve at a terrifying pace, and the greatest minds of the era scramble to decode the blessings of the primordial heavens. Qin Mu faces a different trial, one that may reshape the very structure of cultivation itself. Because while others study the past, he stands at the edge of a breakthrough, one that could bind all divine treasures into a single, flowing destiny. This is Recap Tales of Herding Gods, Chapter 801, Chapter 802. After Woodcutter and the assembled heavenly teachers concluded their formal obeisance, they immediately gathered around celestial Venerable Yu, their gazes blazing like scholars before an ancient scripture, intent on unraveling the profound blessings bestowed upon him by the myriad ancient gods. Each of them had undergone arduous cultivation during the founding emperor era. Once their minds were fixed upon a pursuit, they cast aside all regard for status or identity, be it friend or foe. All were but subjects for inquiry beneath their discerning eyes. Celestial Venerable Yu stood rigid as a statue, scarcely daring to shift even a breath. He allowed them to examine him as they pleased, as though he were a rare spiritual artifact laid bare for dissection. Scholar even produced a slender needle, pricking Yu's fingertip to draw a droplet of blood, which he stored away for further study, his expression utterly absorbed. As for the discourse unfolding among the four heavenly teachers, celestial Venerable Yu found himself utterly lost, unable to grasp even a fragment of their esoteric exchange. Qin Mu, the learned scholar of eternal peace, likewise joined their debate, his words interweaving seamlessly with theirs. Yu remained standing there, bewildered and uncertain, like a lone cultivator cast into a sea of grandmasters. Suddenly, one of the heavenly teachers spoke. "Send for Zhang Baiyi. That fellow often sees what others miss." Before long, the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor hastened over. Upon arrival, he circled celestial Venerable Yu as though he had discovered a supreme treasure of heaven and earth. "Minister Qin's residence is unusually lively today, since I am already here." Emperor Yanfeng himself arrived, his imperial bearing dissolving as he joined the circle, studying Yu with keen interest like the rest. "Mu'er, why have you summoned me back?" The first ancestor human emperor entered, leading 20 to 30 young men and women. Among them was the village chief, his limbs restored and whole. The first ancestor and village chief stepped forward, while the youth surrounded Qin Mu, their faces brimming with eager smiles. Qin Mu blinked in confusion and asked, "Senior brothers and sisters, who might you be?" "So you are the current human emperor, Qin Mu?" A short, stout man called out loudly. "I've heard you possess formidable strength." Qin Mu replied modestly, "I am indeed the current human emperor, but I dare not claim power. In this vast world, there are many whose intellect and talent surpass mine, and countless whose cultivation exceeds my own. May I know who you all are?" "Enough chatter. Let's fight!" In an instant, they surged forward like a storm. None among them was weak. Each wielded refined techniques and stood as a peak expert. Qin Mu hastily evaded, yet to his astonishment, their footwork was profound and elusive. They shadowed his every movement, closing in from both flanks, hemming him in with no path of escape. Since when did so many experts arise within Eternal Peace Empire? Each one is extraordinarily powerful, and though they appear young, their cultivation realms are no less than mine, he thought. They pressed in relentlessly, their coordination seamless, as though accustomed to such chaotic battles, true veterans of group combat. But I have never feared facing many at once. Runes spiraled around Qin Mu's body, and with a flicker, over a dozen of those nearest him were teleported more than 10 miles away. In the next breath, he manifested his 3-headed, 6-armed form. Martial Dao divine arts erupted forth, and more than a dozen experts were struck down, collapsing immobile upon the ground, His feet danced like lightning, each of his 6 arms unleashing distinct divine arts. Figures were blasted away in all directions, crashing down across the battlefield. With a sweep of his arms, his runes reversed, and those flung 10 miles away were forcibly drawn back before they could even descend. Magnetism, great divine art! His palms thrust forward. Instantly, those dozen or so opponents felt both their corporeal bodies and primordial spirits grow unbearably heavy. With a thunderous crash, they were driven into the earth, carving out a massive pit. More than 30 yards away, the short, stout man stealthily rose, preparing a sneak attack. Yet Qin Mu struck him with the back of his palm. Heavenly fire surged forth, blasting him skyward as he flailed helplessly before vanishing into the distance. Over 30 young experts, none weaker than I. When did eternal peace produce so many talents? Still puzzled, Qin Mu shook his head and strode toward Celestial Venerable Yu. The village chief cast him a sly glance and gave a subtle wink. Qin Mu froze for a heartbeat before realization struck like lightning. He exclaimed, "Human Emperor Qi Kang, Human Emperor Yi Shan, and second ancestor, third ancestor. It's all of you. You came together with first ancestor." He hurried to help the youths to their feet, stamping his foot as he spoke. "I was wondering where so many experts rivaling me had come from. It turns out they are grandmasters and ancestors. Why didn't you inform me beforehand? Otherwise, I wouldn't have used such force. You must be second ancestor, right?" The young man he helped up shook his head vigorously. "I'm not." "You are fifth ancestor," Qin Mu said excitedly, examining another youth. "I'm not. Don't speak nonsense," the young man retorted, blushing and stammering. "Fifth ancestor is mighty and awe-inspiring. How could I compare? I'm merely insignificant." Qin Mu removed the willow leaf at his brow and opened his third eye. Instantly, he perceived the true forms of their primordial spirits and smiled. "You are indeed fifth ancestor. Though your appearance has changed, your primordial spirit remains the same. Did you possess this body, or have you reincarnated?" The youth flushed red and could not respond. "Ancestor Lan Po, Ancestor Tuoyu, Grandmaster Qi Kang. It truly is all of you." Then the short fellow I blasted away. Was that Grandmaster Yi Shan? Qin Mu exclaimed anxiously. "I don't even know where he landed. What should we do?" Human Emperor Qi Kang strode forward with a snort. "You just said we are not inferior to you. Is this what you call not inferior?" Qin Mu replied earnestly. "When I said not inferior, I meant you are only inferior by a single line." Human Emperor Tuoyu fumed. "And that single line makes such a vast difference?" Qin Mu scratched his head. "A slightest deviation leads to immense disparity. Let us not dwell on that. Ancestors, grandmasters, first ancestor has often left on mysterious errands. Was he secretly teaching you techniques and divine arts?" The human emperors exchanged glances. Second ancestor lowered his head with a sigh. "First ancestor has been training us within Jade Brightness Palace behind the Hall of Human Emperors, imparting techniques and divine arts. He even brought forth methods from the founding emperor era to teach us. We intended this visit to be a grand surprise for you." Qin Mu smiled. "Do not feel disheartened. Even first ancestor is only inferior to me by a line, so you are all exceptional. The true issue is that you have secluded yourselves in the Hall of Human Emperors these past years. Meanwhile, Eternal Peace's paths, skills, and divine arts have advanced at a godly pace. Learning solely from the founding emperor era leaves many flaws in your arts as seen by my eyes. However, in terms of cultivation, you are indeed not weaker than I." Granny C's voice suddenly rang out, filled with astonishment. "Muer, why is your residence so bustling?" Qin Mu immediately abandoned the others and rushed forward with joy. "Ancestors, grandmasters, Granny is the one who created the magnetism divine art. My own great divine art of magnetism was learned from her. Please rest for now. I must welcome Granny. Ah, who will go find Human Emperor Yi Shan?" "Muer, you've returned?" Blind entered, tapping his cane. "Blind, why are you rushing so fast?" Deaf and Butcher followed close behind. Qin Mu's manor had already become overcrowded, leaving no room to accommodate more guests. He hurriedly asked the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, "Junior brother, how many people have you invited?" "There are still Dao Master, Rulai Ma, and those from Little Jade Capital," the Imperial Preceptor replied. "I have also informed King Yama's side." As for the Crimson Light survivors at the South Sea, they are not under our banner, so I did not notify them. Grand Chancellor Su Shenghua is too distant in West Earth. He would require 2 to 3 years to arrive, so he was not informed either. Qin Mu was momentarily stunned before summoning several maids. We have too many guests and insufficient lodging. Take funds and purchase the surrounding manors. The head maid hesitated. Most nearby residents are merchants and nobles. They will likely raise their prices. I care not for such trifling expenses, Qin Mu waved dismissively. After they departed, the imperial preceptor asked quietly, "The Heavenly Saint cult has donated vast sums for disaster relief. How does Senior Brother still possess such wealth?" "Perhaps Linger earned it in Border Dragon City," Qin Mu replied uncertainly. "I have never concerned myself with money." The imperial preceptor fell silent and returned to studying the ancient blessings. Once the surrounding estates were acquired, Qin Mu ordered the walls torn down, linking the manors into a single vast compound for ease of movement. Days later, Wang Muran, Mu Qingdai, and others from Little Jade Capital arrived. Soon after, Tao Master Lin Xuan came with numerous Taoists, both old and young. Rulai Ma arrived with Devil Ape Zhan Kong and Monk Ming Xin. Qin Mu heard that Sakra Buddha had also come, though he was nowhere to be seen, perhaps hiding from the old farmer, or perhaps already blasted into some ditch. Experts gathered in the manor. Tao Master Lin Xuan led Taoists in inscribing myriad runes derived from the ancient blessings, while others analyzed their mysteries, seeking to unravel them through every conceivable method. Celestial Venerable Yu's blessings are a vast treasury, the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor exclaimed. If we can systematize these runes, we can reconstruct the rune systems of the ancient gods' great Taos. Eternal Peace's Great Tao of Runes will undergo an unprecedented explosion. Woodcutter added, "Do not rush to remove the blessings. Let us first organize them thoroughly. If successful, this shall become the rune system of the ancient celestial heavens." Qin Mu wished to join the research, yet the 4 heavenly teachers drove him away. The old farmer said, "You have your own matters. Go open your 7th divine treasure. Call me when you succeed." Helpless, Qin Mu devoted himself to cultivation. His progress in opening the 7th divine treasure accelerated rapidly. Each time he succeeded, the old farmer would shatter it with a single punch before returning to his research. 4 to 5 months passed. The rooms overflowed with records of runes. The gathered experts were disheveled and filthy, save for Scholar, Granny Sai, and the other women, who maintained their composure. Meanwhile, Qin Mu approached the final stage, the Celestial River Divine Treasure. This divine treasure was his own creation, inspired by the celestial river of the ancient heavens. From the celestial palace, the river would flow into the 7th divine treasure, passing through celestial being, 7 stars, 5 elements, 6 directions, and spirit platform, before entering Yudu. Qin Mu suddenly froze. If that is so, then upon opening the 7th divine treasure, would not all divine treasures merge into one? He blinked. Shu Shenghua had already devised the Builder Tree Innate Divine Bridge, capable of unifying all divine treasures. However, its reliance on advanced algebra rendered it inaccessible to most. Only those who could plant a mathematical seed within their Tao heart could cultivate the bridge. Thus, it was difficult to propagate. But with the Celestial River Divine Treasure, matters would be far simpler. A single celestial river could connect all divine treasures, and even link together every celestial palace. After Woodcutter and the other heavenly teachers had completed their rites of reverence, they formed a circle around Celestial Venerable Yu, their gazes sharp as blades as they scrutinized the blessings bestowed by the ancient gods. All of them had owned their minds and wills during the founding emperor era. Once their focus settled upon a single matter, they cared not who or what stood before them. Celestial Venerable Yu remained rooted in place, not daring to shift even half a step, allowing them to examine him as they pleased. Scholar even produced a slender needle, pricking the tips of his fingers to draw blood for inspection. As for the discourse among the 4 heavenly teachers, Celestial Venerable Yu could not comprehend a single word. Qin Mu, the erudite scholar of eternal peace, also stepped into their discussion, exchanging insights with ease. Celestial Venerable Yu stood there, utterly bewildered. Suddenly, one of the heavenly teachers spoke. Summon Jiang Baigi. He is often full of ideas. Before long, the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor arrived in haste. Upon seeing Celestial Venerable Yu, his eyes lit up as though he had discovered a rare treasure, and he too began circling him in study. Minister Qin's residence seems unusually lively. I have come this time. Emperor Yanfeng arrived unannounced, and before long, he too joined the group, circling Celestial Venerable Yu. Muir, for what purpose have you summoned me back? The first ancestor human emperor entered, bringing with him 20 to 30 young men and women. The village chief was among them, his limbs now fully restored. The first ancestor and village chief stepped forward, while the group of youths surrounded Qin Mu, smiling brightly as they pulled him aside. Qin Mu was puzzled and asked, "Senior brothers and sisters, who might you be?" "So you are Qin Mu, the current human emperor?" A short and stout man demanded loudly. "I've heard you are quite formidable." Qin Mu replied modestly, "I am indeed the current human emperor, yet I would not call myself formidable. There are countless individuals in this world whose intellect and talent surpass mine, and in cultivation and skill, they are beyond number. May I ask who all of you are?" "Enough nonsense, let us fight!" They surged forward all at once. Their strength was far from weak, their techniques refined and profound, each one a top-tier expert. Qin Mu hastily evaded, only to find that their footwork was wondrous and elusive. They followed his movements closely, closing in from both sides, hemming him in with no path of escape. His heart trembled in astonishment. When did so many experts appear with an eternal peace empire? Each one possesses terrifying strength. It would be one thing if they were merely young, but every single one has a cultivation realm no less than mine, he thought. They pressed toward him like a surging tide. Their coordination seamless, as though they had long been accustomed to such chaotic melee. But I have never feared being besieged. Runes spiraled around Qin Mu's body, and in an instant, over a dozen attackers near him were transported more than 10 miles away. At the same time, he transformed into a 3-headed, 6-armed form. His martial Dao divine arts erupted forth, and more than a dozen experts were struck down. Collapsing and unable to rise, his steps flowed like a storm as his 3 heads and 6 arms unleashed a barrage of divine arts. Figures were blasted away, crashing to the ground in all directions. His 6 arms spread wide, runes reversing as those flung 10 miles away were dragged back before they could even touch the earth. Great divine art of magnetism. Qin Mu thrust his palms forward. Instantly, those drawn back felt their corporeal bodies and primordial spirits grow unbearably heavy. With a thunderous crash, they were slammed into the ground, carving out a massive crater. Over 30 yards away, the short, stout man secretly climbed to his feet, preparing a sneak attack. Yet before he could act, Qin Mu's backhand struck him. Heavenly fire divine art erupted, sending the man soaring high into the air. He flailed helplessly before vanishing into the distance. More than 30 young experts, each no weaker than me. When did Eternal Peace produce such a host of talents? Qin Mu remained bewildered. Shaking his head, he turned and walked towards Celestial Venerable Yu. The village chief cast him a knowing glance and gave a subtle wink. Qin Mu froze for a moment, then realization dawned upon him. He cried out, "Human Emperor Qi Kang! Human Emperor Yi Shan! And second ancestor! Third ancestor! It's all of you! You came together with first ancestor!" He hurried to help the fallen youths to their feet, stamping his foot as he spoke. I was wondering where so many experts comparable to myself had come from. So it was all of you, grandmasters and ancestors. Why didn't you inform me beforehand? Had I known, I wouldn't have struck so heavily. You must be second ancestor, correct? The young man he supported shook his head vigorously. I am not. You are fifth ancestor. Qin Mu declared excitedly, examining another youth. I am not. Do not speak recklessly. That youth flushed red, stammering in protest. Fifth ancestor is a figure of immense might and prestige. How could I possibly compare? I am but insignificant. Qin Mu removed the willow leaf from his brow and opened his third eye. With a glance, he saw through all their primordial spirits and smiled. You are fifth ancestor. Though your appearance has changed, your primordial spirit remains. Have you taken over this body, or have you reincarnated? The youth blushed deeply, unable to answer. Ancestor Lanpo, Ancestor Tuo Yu, Grandmaster Qi Kang, It truly is all of you. Then the short fellow I sent flying with heavenly fire. Was he Grandmaster Yishan? Qin Mu exclaimed anxiously. I do not know where he has flown to. What should be done? Human Emperor Qi Kang strode forward and snorted coldly. You claimed we are not inferior to you. Is this your notion of equality? Qin Mu explained. When I said not inferior, I meant that you are all merely one line below me. Human Emperor Tuo Yu fumed. A single line? And yet such a vast difference? Qin Mu scratched his head. A slight deviation leads to a great disparity. Let us not dwell on this. Ancestors, grandmasters. First ancestor often left, saying he had matters to attend to. Was he instructing you in techniques and divine arts? The human emperors exchanged glances. Second ancestor lowered his head and sighed. First ancestor trained us within the Jade Brightness Palace behind the Hall of Human Emperors, imparting techniques and divine arts. He even brought forth methods from the founding emperor era to teach us. This visit was meant to be a grand surprise for you. Qin Mu smiled. Ancestors, grandmasters, do not be disheartened. First ancestor himself is also one line beneath me, so your strength is not lacking. The true issue is that you have remained secluded in the Hall of Human Emperors for years. Meanwhile, Eternal Peace's paths, skills, and divine arts advance at a godly pace. By relying solely on teachings from the founding emperor era and not adapting to Eternal Peace's innovations, your arts contain flaws in my eyes. Still, in terms of cultivation, you are not weaker than I. Granny C's voice rang out in astonishment. Muir, why is your place so lively? Qin Mu immediately abandoned the others and rushed to greet her joyfully. Ancestors, grandmasters. Granny is the one who created the magnetism divine art. My own great divine art of magnetism was learned from her. Please take a seat. I shall go welcome her. Ah, who will go search for human Emperor Yishan? Muir, you've returned? Blind entered, tapping his cane along the ground. Blind, why are you rushing so quickly? Deaf and Butcher followed close behind. Qin Mu's manor had become so crowded that not a single place remained to settle. He hurriedly asked the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, Junior brother, how many people have you invited? There are still Dao Master, Rulai Ma, and those from Little Jade Capital. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor replied, I have also informed King Yama's side. As for the Crimson Light remaining survivors at the South Sea, they are not under our command, so I did not notify them. Grand Chancellor Shu Shenghua is far away in West Earth and would take 2 to 3 years to arrive, so he was not informed either. Qin Mu was stunned. He quickly summoned several maids. We have too many guests and no lodging. Take money and purchase the surrounding manors. The head maid replied, most nearby residents are merchants and nobles. They will surely raise the price. I do not lack such trivial funds. Qin Mu waved them off impatiently. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor fell silent for a moment before asking, the Heavenly Saint cult has donated vast wealth to the treasury for disaster relief. How does Senior Brother still possess so much money? Perhaps Linger earned it in Border Dragon City. Qin Mu himself was uncertain and said apologetically, I have never concerned myself with money. I hold no interest in it. The Imperial Preceptor walked away silently, returning to the study of Celestial Venerable Yu's blessings. Once the surrounding manors were purchased, Qin Mu tore down their walls, connecting them into one vast compound for ease of movement. Days passed, and Wang Moran, Mu Qingdai, and others from Little Jade Capital arrived. Later, Dao Master Lin Xuan came with numerous Taoist elders and disciples. Rulei Ma arrived as well, bringing Devil Ape Zhang Kong and Monk Ming Ming Xin. Qin Mu heard that Sakura Buddha had also come, yet he did not appear. Perhaps hiding from the old farmer, or perhaps already blasted into some distant ditch. Experts gathered throughout the manor. Dao Master Lin Xuan led Taoists in inscribing runes derived from the ancient gods' blessings, while others deduced their mysteries, employing every method to unravel them. Celestial Venerable Yu's blessings are a vast treasury. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor suddenly declared, if we can sort out the runes within these blessings, we can determine the rune systems of the ancient gods' great Taos. Eternal Peace's great Tao of runes will surely undergo an explosive transformation. Woodcutter said, do not rush to remove the blessings. Organize them first. If we succeed, this will become the rune system of the ancient celestial heavens. Qin Mu wished to join the research. Yet he was driven out by the 4 heavenly teachers. The old farmer said, "You have your own matters. Go open your 7th divine treasure. Call me when you succeed." Qin Mu could only comply, focusing on cultivation to open his divine treasures. His speed increased steadily. Each time he opened one, the old farmer would destroy it with a single punch before returning to his research. 4 to 5 months passed. Every room was filled with records of runes. The gods within the manor appeared disheveled and unkempt. Only Scholar, Granny C, and the other women maintained their appearance. Meanwhile, Qin Mu worked on opening his final 7th divine treasure, the Celestial River Divine Treasure. This treasure had been conceived by him based on the celestial river of the ancient celestial heavens. It would flow from the celestial palace into the 7th divine treasure, passing through the celestial being, 7 stars, 5 elements, 6 directions, and spirit platform before entering Yudu. Qin Mu suddenly froze. If so, once the 7th divine treasure is opened, would not all divine treasures become one? His eyes flickered. Su Shenghua had already created the Builder Tree Innate Divine Bridge, a technique that unified all divine treasures into one. However, its requirements in algebra were exceedingly high. Few in the world could construct such a bridge. It required planting a magical seed within the Tao heart, nurturing a sapling within the practitioner's body. Thus, the Builder Tree Divine Bridge was difficult to spread, but if one possessed the Celestial River Divine Treasure, matters would be far simpler. A single celestial river could link all divine treasures, and even all celestial palaces, into one.